soon here. Super excited. Today we're going to talk about sales. Most people have different ways to sell, and some people have one way of selling. That's why most people stay stuck at a certain revenue, um, revenue generation income that they actually generate because they have one actually way to sell. And today we're going to walk through multiple ways to actually sell. So that is what we're going to be diving into. So super excited to have you guys here. So okay, so I've found that most entrepreneurs do not stay broke because they do not um, know how to work. Right? Most entrepreneurs are busy. Our work ethic is through the roof. Right? We work hard because we're doing something that most people are not willing to do. Um, they stay broke though because they only know one way to sell. They know how to sell on a call, but not through automation. They know how to sell one to one, but not one to many. They know how to make an offer online, but not from a stage. They know how to talk to one person, but not how to move an entire room. And that is the problem. That is why people get stuck at a certain revenue target or revenue generation that they are stuck at. So, because if your income depends only on one way of selling, one sales method, then your growth stays limited to the ceiling of that actual method. The wealthy get wealthier because they understand something most people do not. More wealth does not just come from a better offer, it comes from better sales mechanisms. Again, I repeat that. More wealth does not just come from a better offer, it comes from a better sales mechanism. And that's why today I am actually going to be talking about how the wealthy get wealthier. They know how to sell in more than one way. If you want more wealth, more cash flow, and more leverage, you cannot depend only on one way to sell. Wealthy entrepreneurs get wealthy because they know how to sell through multiple mechanisms and use the right one at the right time. Listen to me, the right one at the right time. So timing is vital to the actual sales process. Sales is not a one size fits all. The wealthy do not rely on one selling method. They understand how to sell automated, one to many, through live virtual events and through in person events on as well. How to actually sell from stages. The more clearly you understand the right sales mechanism for the right offer, the faster you actually create more money, more leverage, and more wealth. Some people stay stuck because they only know how to sell one way. The wealthy get wealthier because they know how to sell in more than one way. So, welcome, guys, to the Anywhere Entrepreneur Live. Again, we are all about the freedompreneur way, the freedom to live, to work, to earn from anywhere. Last live, I tuned in actually from Japan, and if you guys watched that, I was actually at an internet cafe and heard so many things about an internet cafe that some people even rent those out for 24 hours, actually live in them because rent is so high or mortgages are so high in Japan that I just had to check one of those out. It was really cool. Got facilities, got showers, got food, got 24-hour service. So I was like, I get it. People, will spend about, sometimes $50, $20 max a day renting one of those things out. So I was in Japan, and last week we talked about, last night we talked about how the rich build riches. They know how to turn leads into money, right? We talked about lead generation. We talked about lead nurturing. We talked about lead conversion, how to generate the lead, how to build trust with the lead, and how to move that lead into action. This live, I am actually in Vietnam, right? From a city called Da Nang. Da Nang, Vietnam is just, it's North Vietnam. And I'm just south of Da Nang right now, about an hour south, called a city called Ho Nan, Hoian. Um, Man, this area surprised me. There's so many um, tourists here from all kinds of countries, Western countries, Europeans, and I know why. They have this. Da Nang is amazing. It's not as crowded as like Bangkok, Thailand, or Ho Chi Minh, or things like that. It's crowded enough, but not like that. Really clean, really safe. And then we today we came about an hour north. We're staying down here at and we went to this place called Old Town in Ho An. So if you love like just crazy shopping, inexpensive stuff, great food, music, just fun for the entire family, and really great vibes and really great people as well. I definitely would suggest visiting this place. So it's in North Vietnam. Okay, so we're in Da Nang, and today we are actually taking the next step because once you know how to turn leads into money, the next question becomes how do you actually sell in a way that creates more money, more leverage for you, and more wealth, right? How do you sell automated, one one to many, through virtual events where you don't have to leave your home, or you can be like me, where you can run your business from anywhere in the world, right? Last week we ran our 2 weeks ago, sorry, 2 weeks ago, we ran our challenge, and we are challenged. Ran it in Malaysia, for example, right? So virtual events, and then how do you sell in person, which we sell in person, but we actually have a physical live event in Bangkok 2 weeks from now, right? So how do you do all of that? And that is what today is about. And by the end of this live, I want you to know exactly the different sales mechanisms available to you, which when each one works, how do they work best with each other, and how to think about choosing the right method for your offer. So you might have multiple offers, right? And what I mean by multiple offers is you have your ultra low ticket offers, your low ticket offers, mid ticket offers, high ticket offers. You might have a course you want to sell, might have a one on one, you might have a group, you might have mastermind. All of those are different. Or you might have a recurring offer. All those are different offers, right? And if you have them, you got to choose the right method for each offer, right? And your audience as well, and your business, right? Choosing the right one for all three. Because once you understand this, you stop forcing um, one sales style to do everything, right? And that's where I've seen it all, right? People have, yeah, I just do discovery calls, or have people book a discovery call. And then I go and I deliver value for 30, 45 minutes, 1 hour, and I make an offer, and that's it. And I see them, capping their revenue. And I go look at what their sales mechanism is and their method is, and I said, no wonder, right? You don't have multiple ways of selling. That's why you've capped your revenue generation, right? So that's it. And once you understand this, you start selling smarter, right? Way smarter. If you're ready to get clearer on sales, right? Drop sell in the comments. Drop sell. We'd love to know that you're actually here. And if you are here live, drop where you're actually tuning in from. Just like I am actually sharing that I'm actually tuning in from Da Nang, um, Vietnam right now, right? So now, so Travis, we definitely want to know where you're tuning in from. So before I teach this, let's really talk about your resistance. Let's talk about the resistance that I actually see from people, because most people resist sales not because sales is bad. Again, they resist sales not because sales is bad. They resist sales because sales feels uncomfortable, right? Sales feels uncomfortable. Some people hide behind automation because they do not want a real conversation. Some people stay stuck in one to one because it feels safer than speaking one to many, right? Some people avoid virtual events because they do not know how to teach, how to train, how to help people transform and sell online. Some people avoid in person events because they do not know how to make an offer from stage, how to move a room and make an offer to multiple people in the actual room. And some people keep trying one method, even when that method is no longer enough for the future that they actually want, right? That is where they actually stay stuck, because the truth is, every sales mechanism has a ceiling. Every sales mechanism has a ceiling. And if you only know how to sell one way, your income gets capped by the limitation of that one way, right? That is the stakes, and the stakes are high. You may have a powerful offer, an amazing offer, an irresistible offer, right? You may have real value. You may have the ability to help hundreds of thousands, millions of people. But if you do not know how to match the right sales mechanism to the right sale, you will leave money on the table, create unnecessary friction, rely too heavily on one method and stay smaller than you need to stay. So this conversation matters because wealthy entrepreneurs do not just sell better, they sell smarter, right? They sell smarter. So again, last slide, we talked about how the rich build riches. They know how to turn leads into money. We talked about lead generation, lead nurturing, and lead conversion. We talked about how getting the lead is one thing, building trust with the lead is another, and moving the lead into action is another, right? So last slide was about the lead journey, but this live is about the selling mechanism inside that journey. Because once a lead is ready, the next question becomes, how do you actually sell? How do you sell in a way that fits the offer, the buyer, the price point, and the stage of the journey? That is what today is all about. So let me give you the framework for today. There are 5 sales mechanisms I want to talk about. The very first one is automated selling. Second is one-to-one selling. Third is one-to-many selling. Fourth is virtual events. And fifth and final is in-person events. Um, these 5 are not random. Each one has a role, a strength, a weakness, and a right use case. And when you understand that, sales stops feeling like guesswork. It starts feeling like strategy. The wealthy get wealthier because they understand that one sales method cannot carry every offer, every audience, and every stage of growth. So let's start with the very first two. The first one is automated sales. Automated sales is when the sales happens without you being live in the moment. This can happen through a sales page, video sales letter, VSL, right? An evergreen webinar, an email sequence, a funnel, an automated checkout process. This is powerful because it gives you leverage. It allows sales to happen while you sleep, while you travel like we do, while you are focused on other things. I wake up with sales in my inbox, right? Pinged from Stripe. I get sales over the last 5 weeks. I've been to 5 or 6 countries, right? We went to Singapore first. We left Boise, flew directly to Singapore, went to Malaysia, and then went to Laos, and then we went to Japan, and now we're in Vietnam. So in the last 5 weeks, we've been into 5 countries, and so we made money while we travel as well. And while we're focused on other things, focus on our coaching calls, focus on hanging out with our family. Today, several sales came in while we were on the tour ever since noon this morning, right? For an 8-hour tour, went to see like 5 or 6 different places in Vietnam. And guess what? Sales came in while I was focused on other things, focused on being with my family, right? We a special trip. This trip we brought my wife's family together, both sides of the family, and we have 17 people on this trip. So we got a whole bus. It was for us, right? The whole big bus, tour bus, and we hired a tour guide, hired a driver, and we're gonna be here 3 days just touring around this area, right? Going lunch, dinner, and going to see museums, all kinds of stuff. So we made money while we are focused on other things. That's what automated selling does. Automated sales works best when the offer is simple, the trust barrier is lower, the problem is clear, the price point supports automation, and the message is already proven. So VSLs, we have VSL running, so we drive traffic right to a VSL. We drive traffic to a auto webinar, and people click and buy a ticket. One of our automated sales, one of the things, the offer that we sell is a ticket to our 5-day challenge. So they click, they have 2 options. People can buy a ticket to our Dream Life, Dream Business Challenge as general admission, or they can click and upgrade themselves to VIP, for example. That's what I mean. Sales are coming in. People are purchasing tickets and registering every single day to our next up and coming, right? Dream Life, Dream Business Challenge in 3 weeks from now, right? For example. So that happens while we sleep. That happens while we travel. That happens when we are focused on other things, right? So that's automated selling. Okay. The second is one-to-one sales. This is direct conversation based selling. This can happen through a phone call, a Zoom call, DMing leads to a call, an application process, consultative conversations, right? One-to-one sales works best when the offer is high ticket, the buyer needs more certainty, the decision is more personal, objections need live handling, or the relationship itself is part of the value. This is the first threshold that you have to get over, the threshold of control. Because when you understand these first two, you begin to see not everything should be automated and not everything should require your time, right? The question is not which sales method is best. The question is which sales method fits the sale. So when we launched our funnel building done for you agency in 2020, right after COVID, um, our sales process or the sales journey was to book a call. So we did several different ways we did it, right? We would just drive traffic to the book a call page. That was one method. And then we drove traffic to an application, and then we would reach out and book the call, right? We would qualify them through the application process first. And then third was we would run a live webinar and people would register for the webinar and then or masterclass. And then we would have them book a call, right? Fill out the application, book a call that way. We ran through a VSL and people would book a call. We ran through an auto webinar and people would book a call, right? And the call was anywhere between 30 minutes to 45 minutes. And it was really just us doing strategies and discoveries to figure out where they're actually at, right? Uh, what are they selling? Like what's their offer? Who are they selling to? Where are they going to make the offer themselves, right? What sales method they're looking to utilize with which mechanism, which method, which then allowed us to determine which funnel to actually build them. And that's what we did. We built a brand new funnel from end to end, from start to from the very first opt-in registration page, purchase page, all the way to the thank you page, right? So that's what we did. But so we needed a one-on-one call to understand where the clients are at, what are they looking for, what do they need, what's the problem, what's the gap, and then we would then introduce a funnel that will help them close that gap, right? So that needed one-on-one attention. Now, does it have to be one-on-one? It could be one-to-many. We could run a event or a webinar or even a challenge and then have people book a call or make an offer right away, and people kind of know the ballpark of how much the funnel could be, what an average funnel costs, and then they could book a call that way, right? We could do something like that as well. But that was the sales process. We needed the time to understand and build that relationship through a call, and then we would literally just say, we know the funnel that will work for you. Here's what it is, right? Here's a lead generation funnel. Here's a auto webinar funnel. Here's a live webinar funnel. Here's a challenge funnel. Here's a immersion funnel, like a boot camp. Here's a application funnel. Here's a book a call funnel. And then they can, if they were in alignment with what they want and the funnel that they need to close the gap, then we make them an offer, right? And the offer could be anywhere between $7,500 to $25,000 to build their sales funnel and their sales workflows and their sales process. So we needed one-on-one selling to make that happen because there was a right fit for that offer, right? Make sense? Okay. So now let's move to the next two. The number three is one-to-many sales. Like I said, we could have, we never did it, but we could have done a one-to-many sales. We could have had people register for a master class or boot camp, or even buy a low ticket challenge or low ticket boot camp or something like that, and then make an offer there as well. So one-to-many, that could be done that way as well with our funnel building business. We do that now with our high ticket coaching business, for example. So, and I'll use that as an example. This is where you sell to a group instead of an individual. This can happen through challenges like us. We have a 5-day challenge. This can happen through workshops. This can happen through group presentations, webinars, live trainings, community-based selling. This is powerful because it creates more leverage than one-to-one while still allowing live connection, right? You say it once, many hear it, and many move. Let me repeat that. You make the offer once, you say it once, Many people in the room hear it, and then many move, right? This works best when the message is clear, right? The audience has shared pain points, the offer is proven, and you know how to teach in a way that builds desire. So, our 5 day challenge, for example, is this. Our 5 day challenge is the VIPs come in an hour before general admission. They get coaching, group coaching. They get to ask questions, and we give them the training, the coaching, and then general admission comes in an hour after them, and they get an hour of our time. It's more one-on-one training, one-on-one teaching, and our challenge, for example, since we're talking about clear message, our challenge is all about um, having this dream life, right? Most people build a business or decide to become an entrepreneur, business owner, because they have a certain lifestyle that they want to live. And then they start this business like we did for the first 15 years. And all of a sudden we woke up 15 years later, we're like, we're not living our life, right? We started this business and I'm supposed to own the business, but it feels like the business owns me, right? I'm supposed to be working on my business, but why am I working always in it, right? So we woke up to that. We found out that, oh my God, in order for you to, live your dream life, in order for you to love your dream business, you have to leverage your dream team. So our whole challenge is about implementation, right? And it's about impact. It's about generating income through delegation and automation, right? With virtual assistants, with the team, how to communicate with the team, how to hire the team, put the right person in the right role, doing the right thing, and then artificial intelligence, AI, how to automate, how to do sales processes, sales funnels, workflows, and AI agents, all of that stuff. Right? So message is very, very clear, so that people could generate the income that they desire, the income that they desire, without sacrificing their freedom. Right? Which is where most entrepreneurs who are at that $20,000 to $40,000 per month, and they're looking to go to 7 figures, and they're sabotaging themselves because even though they want to scale to 7 figures, more scaling leads to more suffering, right? So they sabotage themselves. So we come in and we help them delegate and automate so that they can actually hit 7 figures, again, generate the income that they want without losing their freedom. So our message is very, very clear. The audience has shared pain points, right? Overwhelm, right? Stress, working way too much, doing everything, right? Not knowing how to build teams, right? So very, very pain points. The offer is proven because we have clients prior to selling one to many. We sold one to one this offer, right? So it's proven as well. And then before we launched one to many, and you know how to teach in a way that builds desire, right? And the 5 day challenge model for us when it comes to one to many is, there's a framework, right? First day is all about, living an and life, not an or life, right? That's what it takes. Living an and life, not an or life. That's what it takes to build your dream life. And then second day is about your dream business, and dream self. Second day is about your dream self. So dream self is about stepping into your authentic identity. How do you close the gap, right? That people sabotage, the identity gap that sabotages your 7 figure self. And then third day, it's all about your dream business. Your dream business is about how to build a business that is a palace, not a prison. And then the fourth day is about your dream team. How do you leverage people? How do you emancipate your time? How do you achieve time freedom? And the only way you achieve time freedom is through delegation and automation, right? So there's a framework, there's a proven way that builds desire. So, like, even you, if you're listening, you're like, man, I want to live an and life, not an or life. Why do I have to choose between success and my family, or, going to work and going to my child's, baseball game, right? Things like that. No, live an and life, right? You can go here and there, eat this and that, right? Buy this and that. You don't have to choose. How do you build a dream business? How do you build a business that's a palace, not a prison, right? How do you step into your authentic self, into your, close that identity gap, right? So if you hear me and you're like, man, that's a really proven model, and then how do you emancipate your time? How do you actually achieve time freedom, leverage, right? Delegation, automation. So that is the desire. People are like, I don't have that, and I want that, right? So you got to know how to teach in a way that builds desire. Okay. So now the fourth one, the fourth is virtual event sales. Virtual event sales. Um, Now, before we go one step deeper, virtual event sales can happen through webinars, live masterclasses, online challenges, virtual summits, multi-day online experiences. Virtual events work because they create attention, immersion, trust, momentum, and urgency, right? Now let's talk about the things that get in the way, right? This is going to be your test. This is going to be your allies in this. This is going to be your enemies in this, right? So here's your test. Can you hold attention long enough to build trust? Can you teach clearly enough to create desire? Can you transition from content to offer naturally? Your allies in this, if you want to go virtual event, is strong messaging, clear structure, storytelling, proof, proof, right? Energy, your energy, urgency, and confident invitation. Your enemies of this that will keep you from being successful selling online virtual events is overteaching without selling, weak transitions, confusing offers, lack of certainty, trying to impress instead of persuade, hiding behind information instead of invitation. A lot of people know how to teach. Fewer people know how to teach and sell, right? So like our 5-day challenge is virtual events, and we don't overteach. It's very, very clear. We're the best offers, the best coaches, the best people who are selling the best product that can help people get results and transformation are the people who are living their transformation. Hear me, my friends. If you are living your transformation, you do not need to show up as anybody else but yourself because you're actually living it. You're not trying to be anybody else. You're not trying to pretend. You're not trying to know something that you don't know. You're not trying to be somebody who you are actually not. You're not trying to teach people to do something that you're actually not doing yourself. Everything that I am walking you guys through here in terms of the ways to sell, we do all 5 of these ways. I am not here teaching theory. I'm not here sharing with you things that we do not do, right? And who we're not. Okay. So let's go into the fifth one, in-person event sales, right? This is where you fill a room, fill a room. This is one of the most powerful ways, powerful sales environment there is. Why? Because proximity compresses trust. When people are in the room with you, they do not just hear the message, they feel the message. They hear me now. They do not just hear the message, they feel it. They feel the message, right? In-person events create certainty, emotion, environment, community, urgency, deeper belief. This is powerful for high ticket offers, masterminds, immersions, premium experiences, ascension offers up your value ladder, and renewal offers. And this is where the most people get stuck. This is most people's ordeal, right? This is where everything gets exposed because many people want high ticket sales without being willing to create high trust environments. Many people want high ticket sales without being willing to create high trust environments. That is what one-on-one, that is what in-person event sales are all about. It creates that high trust environment. They want people to say yes to deep transformation without putting those people in the kind of environment that creates deep belief, deep belief. That is why in-person selling matters, because here's a deeper lesson in this. You do not choose the sales mechanism based only on what feels easiest for you. You choose it based on what best serves the buyer, what best fits the offer, and what creates the right balance of trust and leverage, right? You got to be willing to stop asking what is easiest for me, and start asking what is best for the audience, for the sale. The wealthy get wealthier because they know how to sell in more than one environment, more than one way, to more than one buyer, multiple ways. So let me ask you this. Which sales mechanism do you need to master right now? Type in the chat. Is it automated? You need something set up where you're making money while you sleep? One to one to many, virtual events, in-person events. Let us know. Drop in the comments. We definitely want to know from you, right? And here's the big reframe in this. Sales is not one thing. Sales is a system of mechanisms that changes everything. Because when you stop thinking of sales as one fixed activity, you start making better decisions. You stop asking, how do I sell? And you start asking, how should this offer be sold? What environment creates the most trust? What method gives the right balance of leverage and conversion? What stage of business am I actually in? Right? With this, my friends, go back into your business and stop trying to make one method do everything. Start designing the right sales path for the right offer. That is how wealthy entrepreneurs get wealthy, and you can too. Not because they work harder, because they work and sell smarter, right? All right, let's get practical. After this live, your assignment is very, very simple. Look at your offer and ask, first, what am I selling? Is it low ticket, mid ticket, or high ticket? Is it simple or complex? Is it clear? Does it require more certainty? That's the first question. Second is, who am I selling to? Does this buyer need more trust, more proof, more clarity, more proximity, more conversation? Third question, what sales mechanism fits best? Should this be sold automated, one-to-one, one-to-many, through a virtual event, through an in-person event? Then ask, am I using the right sales mechanism for the sale, right? When you do this, you stop selling by habit and you start selling by design. So my message, my friends, is very, very clear today and very, very simple. The wealthy get wealthier because they know how to sell in more than one way. They do not rely on one method. They do not force one path. They do not try to make one mechanism do everything. They understand that automated selling has a role, one-to-one has a role, one-to-many has a role, virtual selling has a role, in-person events have a role. And when the sales mechanism matches the sale, conversations get cleaner. When conversations get cleaner, cash flow gets stronger. And when cash flow gets stronger, wealth gets built. That is how you stop staying stuck. And that's how you start building richer. Right? Let me know, my friends, what was your biggest takeaway from today? Was it the understanding of automated selling, one-to-one, one-to-many, virtual events, or in-person events? Let us know. Drop it in the comment section, okay? And if this message spoke to you, I also want you to drop wealthy, right, in the comments. And if you know that it's actually time for you to stop guessing and start using the right sales mechanism, drop mechanism in the comments, right? Okay, drop mechanism in the comments. And we would love to invite you to our Dream Life, Dream Business Challenge. If you want to learn how to sell, how to create your offer, how to extract your live transformation into a low ticket, mid ticket, high ticket offer, how to build your business that's a palace, not a prison, how to live your dream life, how to leverage a team, how to really achieve time freedom, then is what the challenge is actually all about. So the link will be in the below as well. Okay, so I've really enjoyed being here with you. So next live, we're going to build on this. So definitely want to be there, because once you understand how to sell in more than one way, the next question becomes, who are you actually selling to, right? Because one of the biggest reasons entrepreneurs stay broke is not because they do not have an offer. It's because they do not know who they're actually talking to. They do not know what the person is aware of, and they do not know how to match the message to the buyer's awareness, right? Next live's title is Why Some Entrepreneurs Stay Broke. They don't know who they're actually selling to. Because the truth is, when you do not understand the buyer, you make the wrong offer, use the wrong message, and create unnecessary resistance in the sale. So if today was about understanding the sales mechanism, next live is about understanding the buyer behind the sale. You do not want to miss that at all. And I'll still be in Vietnam. Um, I'll be north again. I'll be back up in Da Nang to do this. So I'll be in Da Nang sharing this with you. So again, if you want to know who and really learn who you should be selling to and how to form the right message to market fit,